It's been a few years since you made an All-Star game. What does this one mean to you at this moment?
I mean, it's always an honor, especially when you get voted in by the fans. Just being a player that the fans want to see is definitely an honor. I would never ever take that for granted. And just being back in it is just an honor in itself. So I'm happy. Having my teammates help me get here. I gotta give so much credit to them. Without them, I wouldn't even have this chance to even be named the starter. So I gotta give so much credit to my teammates and the coaching staff.
Go ahead, Darnell.
Yeah, DeMar, congratulations. What would you like to say to the haters, the critics, and the doubters?
I mean, it's always motivation. We always strive for some type of motivation from the naysayers, the doubters. I let what I do on the court speak for itself when it comes to that. But in the same token, I use, hate, whatever you want to call it, is free energy. And I kind of strive on it. Whatever mental edge I could gain from, people saying what can't happen or I'm not this, that, or third, you always use that as some type of motivation.
Thank you.
Hey, DeMar, I know you don't live in the past, but, just what happened in Toronto, they thought they had a better chance to win a title by making that trade, and it worked out for them. And it's just human nature I would think, for somebody to use that as motivation and to come back and say, I can be a guy who can lead the team to great things too. Is how much is any of that still inside you somewhere? Or
oh yeah, I mean everything from day one when I first came in this league. I always look for elements that I could use to drive myself. That's forever going to be in me. Whether if it's me getting traded, whether it was me not being able to do something as a rookie, whatever it may be. As long as I play this game, I'm gonna find some type of mental edge that will continue to drive me. And if it didn't, I wouldn't even play the game. It wouldn't even be, something I disrespect the game with. So for me, I use any type of motivation I can find throughout my whole career as long as I play this game.
Hey, DeMar, we happened to see the Bulls Twitter account put out that Zach made the announcement on the team playing. First of all, what was your reaction to him doing that? And also, I don't know if you saw, but Zach won the player vote, but Trey got him in the fan and media vote. Do you have a reaction to that?
It was crazy. One, Zach getting up on the plane, grabbing the load. I don't even know how he figure out how to do it, but his announcement was definitely funny. Flight 8, whatever he said, it was cool. He woke up a lot of people on the plane, made them turn on light and everything. So that was the funny part about it. And just getting the congratulations from my teammates was dope. I mean, my opinion, nothing against Trey. Trey is definitely all-star in my opinion. I felt, Zach should have been in there as well. You see it from the players' reaction. Nothing against Trey at all, but I wish he would have got in there. I think that would have been dope to have, the both of us in there as starters. But, no question, he'd be in there next week whenever they do an announcement. But as far as starters, I think that would have been something cool. But even if we were starters, it was a chance we probably wouldn't even be on the same team. So, but it would have been dope to be out there with him starting.
Hey, DeMar, just how do you sort of sum up your first half, kind of looking at, taking a chance to look back at everything you've done, accomplished so far up into this All-Star break, and kind of was this getting back to this game a goal for you coming into this?
No, I wouldn't say getting back to this game was a goal. I think getting back to just being myself and the capabilities that I knew I had, and using my time of being traded, going through a new situation, learning so much underneath one of the greatest coaches of all time, putting all that knowledge into one and finally making a decision of my own to choose where I went in and play in my career for the first time. I felt like it was it was a restart for me to understand, like, okay, let's put this all together and prove more so to myself that, the work that I put in won't go unnoticed, and that was just my goal, was to go out there and lead and be a winner.
Thanks, man. Congrats.
Thank you.
DeMar, being in the league more than a decade, you've been a star player, multiple All-Stars. But it seemed like almost you'd been forgotten in a sense. And as you know, your signing by Chicago wasn't universally celebrated around the NBA. And part of the reason seemed to be the way you play, the analytic thing with the threes and everything. Do you feel like, this, not only voting a starter, but the players, fans, and media picking you number one in the East is kind of a validation, not only of the way you play, but sort of a message to other players that play your way, do what you do what's best, and you can succeed that way. You don't have to listen to what everybody else tells you the way you should play.
Yeah, you hit it on the nail. And for me, I'm a big advocate of just, I'm all my life I've been a student of the game, and I always measured player games off their work ethic and their heart, and that's something that analytics could never measure, and for me, I always wanted to be that inspiration to people. Stay true to yourself, whatever that is. Don't feel like you have to be forced to change to be something else that you may not be comfortable with, or you're just not quite there yet. Master whatever it is, part of your game that you can master and take full advantage of it. And I never wanted to strive away from that. I never wanted to be forced into doing something else. And, it was tough, hearing all the critics, the criticism about your game, this, that. But I just stayed true to myself. And, this is just a true testament, moments like this to players everywhere, that, never lose confidence in your ability and your work ethic and in what you put into this game, because it definitely will give it back to you.
Thanks.
DeMar, you've been very open about your praise with Pop, helping you develop and grow as a player. You're obviously back in San Antonio tonight for tomorrow's game. What is that experience going to be like for you? And is this like your revival or your reunion tour this week with Toronto and San Antonio?
Yeah, it's crazy, just to see, all those guys. A lot of those guys I haven't seen since I left San Antonio. Still speak to a majority of them. But just to be here, just to be back on the visitor side of the AT&T Center, it's gonna be fun. I'm looking forward to it. I think it's gonna be not as emotional as my Toronto first return was. This one would be more exciting in the sense of, I'm just happy to get back and see the fans, see Pop, see the players, and kind of just go out there and compete.
And what specifically about Pop helped you?
He challenged me beyond my imagination on and off the court, to develop, to be a better individual. But on the court, he just brought a lot of things out of me that I didn't know was in there at that point in my career. And I gotta give so much credit to him for that, because, he took that stance the first day I came to San Antonio, and it did so much for me to be able to be the player I am now.
I guess I just wanted to ask you, how would you characterize your years in San Antonio, just from the perspective of someone who was sitting in Chicago last couple of years? It did seem like you're a little bit out of sight, out of mind, as from a league perspective.
I was growing. I was just, you kind of get knocked down from being traded from a situation you thought and you want to be in for your whole career. You kind of had to start over in every type of way. You had to just, soak in so much new information so quick. And it was one of those moments of me just feeling like I was just growing. Like it was just a new, complete situation for me. Overall, the things I was dealing with off the court, for one, was a lot. And basketball was one of those things that I was trying to figure it out again. It was a different stage in my career, me just trying to figure it out, and me to take on whatever was coming my way. And that's kind of what I did. I didn't get caught up in what was going on the outside of things. I just stayed locked in and trying to figure out how can I continue to get better, be better, be better, be better. And, you know, it got me to this point.
Darnell, why don't you close us out?
You're on mute, Darnell. You're on mute.
My bad. Thank you, Beth. Thanks, Casey. DeMar, what makes this one different than the previous 4 appearances for you, selections?
I mean, the way you do it, you know, it's hard to, you know, you go from being an all-star year in and year out to, you know, you kind of go idle for a couple years. You know, we don't get younger in this league. So for me, just to overcome everything that I overcame and coming into a new situation and, you know, everything that's been going on team-wise with me, it just makes it special, you know, to come back and not just be all-star, be voted in as a starter, man. It's just, you know, it's just one of those moments of you know, I don't know what to call it. I couldn't even give it a title, but it's just, you know, it just felt good.
Thank you.
Yep.
All right, thanks, guys.
Thanks, PR. Thank you, Darnell. I mean, DeMar, Darnell.
Yep. All right. Well, that is my middle name, so.
Well, there you go. It's all happening.